Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. Today I wanted to talk to you about your tinnitus rating or maybe future tinnitus rating. So that is ringing in your ears, and is it only a 10% rating? Is there something more to it? The answer is yes, and you can actually reach very high percentages potentially. And if that's something that you're interested in, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff, so we can continue to get this word out to more of us and get this channel growing and help each other out. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So tinnitus, ringing in the ear, is rated at 10% currently by the VA. It's one rating. You either have it or you don't. Now there's a couple, I'm going to give you two different avenues here of a greater rating. So tinnitus, there's been many studies that have shown that tinnitus, ringing in the ears, tinnitus, the people say it different ways, tomatoes. So the ringing in the ear can contribute to insomnia, can contribute to migraine headaches, depression, all of these types of things. So that 10% rating could parlay into, if you're a person who has this situation, migraines due to your tinnitus. Then what happens is you could potentially get up to a 50% rating for migraines. Or it could be a 30, or it could be a 10, whatever, but up to a 50%. If your ringing in the ears is so bad, now I have it. Mine is not horrific, right? It doesn't drive me nuts. It's annoying, and that's about it. Sometimes it gets kind of bad, but it's there, and it kind of comes and goes. So, but I've heard stories of other people where it's just mind-shattering, and that I could not imagine. So if you're somebody who has horrific ringing in the ears that causes depression and anxiety, sleepless nights, you could file for insomnia or anxiety, depression. Basically, in the rating schedule for mental health conditions, it's all under one kind of umbrella, so they'll give you one rating. So you could actually file for depression, anxiety, and insomnia, and they'll put those all into one bucket, look at all your signs and symptoms, and then issue you a rating for mental health. So that's how that part works. But I personally have seen for insomnia, depression, anxiety, 30s and 50s for those. So, your 10% rating in this example could be a potential 50% for migraines and a potential 50% for insomnia or depression, what have you. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk to you about is, what if your tinnitus, ringing in the ear, was a symptom of another condition and you weren't even really aware of it, right? So in some cases, TBI can have some ringing in the ears as a kind of an additional fun feature. So if you're not diagnosed for that and you think you may have had TBI, go down that road and get checked. But specifically what I wanted to talk about in this video is Meniere's disease. So Meniere's, one of the biggest things with this disease, and in fact, looking in the schedule of ratings by the VA, basically it's a hearing impairment with attacks of vertigo and cerebellar gait. Now, what is that, you may ask? It's kind of, maybe you stumble a little bit, you're not quite walking normal, that type of a situation with attacks, of vertigo. So you get that kind of, dizziness type of a feeling, which would then contribute to your unsteady gait. So this condition can have or not have tinnitus. But the reason I'm bringing it up is, well, what if you have tinnitus and what if you have this? So if you have those types of instances, and it doesn't need to be all the time, okay, that's the magic here. It could be, I have these attacks once a year. It could be once a month. It could be once a week, right? So depending on your frequency would decipher the appropriate rating from the VA, okay? So within the schedule of ratings, and I'll put all this information in the description below so you have access to it. I'll put the little cutout. It's under the auditory schedule of ratings for the VA. You can Control F and find it, and it's right there for you. But if you have these other symptoms beyond tinnitus, right, what I see is often as a veteran community, we may throw out one condition and forget about all the other things that are attached to it, or we may be focused on a symptom of another condition and we just call it a day and move on. Wrong answer. In this case, if you have that unsteady gait, you have attacks of vertigo every once in a while or frequently, either way, you could be looking at some substantial ratings with that. So at a 30% rating, they're saying less than once a month. So, it could be, a couple times a year, 3 times a year, you have this sort of a situation. Now, let's say that it's more frequent and you have it monthly. And it could be once a month, twice a month, 3 times, whatever. You have it a few times a month. You're looking at a 60% rating for this condition, provided that you're diagnosed and you can trace it back. Now, chances are, if you already have tinnitus, or ringing in the ears, or tinnitus, or however you want to say it, if you already have that and that's service connected, your doctor who would end up diagnosing you for Meniere's disease should easily be able to say that your condition had manifested during your time in service, which takes care of your nexus, right? That link between your time in service and the condition. So the fact that you had tinnitus could really prove valuable in this situation. So if you have it, a few times a month, you're looking again at a 60% rating. Let's say that you have it weekly, once, twice, let's say twice a week, right? So I believe in the schedule of ratings, it's more than once per week. So the way that I usually look at these things is I look at it as an average. If somebody says, I get this probably 5, 6, 7 times a month, well, that average is more than once per week. So that's not what you want to say in a CMP exam, because you can't trust what the CMP examiner is going to actually say. So what you want to say in a CMP exam is to be very clear and concise, and basically if you meet more than once per week, then you need to say more than once per week, or twice a week at least, right? To really make sure that you're hitting that. Now, if you have this Meniere's disease and you have these attacks more than once per week, you're looking at 100% rating with the VA. So very, very, very substantial and good information to have for, especially if you have these other conditions that kind of surround this hearing impairment with the attacks of vertigo and that unsteady gait, that cerebellar. So with that, we'll go ahead and cut it. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.